In just 6 weeks, the proud French army, once Europe's strongest, collapsed before Hitler's Blitzkrieg. How did a nation that had bled Germany dry in the Great War fall so quickly? When Germany invaded Poland in September 1939, the world braced for another global conflict. Britain and France declared war on Hitler. But on the Western Front, nothing happened. For 8 long months, soldiers waited behind fortifications. The French trusted their massive line of bunkers, artillery, and concrete, the Maginot Line. They believed it was impenetrable. This uneasy quiet became known as the Phony War. But Hitler was not idle. Behind the scenes, he was planning an attack that would break France in record time. On May 10th, 1940, Hitler struck. His armies swept into Belgium, drawing Allied forces north. But the real blow came elsewhere, through the Ardennes forest. French generals had dismissed the region as impassable to tanks. They were wrong. Panzer divisions pushed through narrow roads, smashing French defenses in days. It was Blitzkrieg. Lightning war. Tanks, planes, and infantry moved as one. The speed was shocking. France's carefully laid plans collapsed almost instantly. Within a week, German forces had raced to the English Channel, trapping hundreds of thousands of Allied soldiers in a giant pocket. At Dunkirk, the Allies faced disaster. But in a desperate gamble, Britain launched Operation Dynamo. Naval ships and a ragtag fleet of fishing boats, ferries, and yachts crossed the channel. Over 9 days, they evacuated more than 330,000 soldiers. It was a miracle of survival, but also a disaster for France. The best of the Allied armies were gone. leaving French defenses thin and broken. The Germans pressed forward, striking deeper into France. On June 14th, German troops entered Paris. The French government had declared the city an open city, hoping to spare it from destruction. Parisians watched in stunned silence as Nazi flags draped the Eiffel Tower. Soldiers marched down the Champs-Élysées. For the French, it was unthinkable. Their capital had fallen in less than a month. A week later, the French government surrendered. Hitler chose the site carefully. A railway carriage in the forest of Compiègne. It was the same spot where, in 1918, Germany had signed its humiliating surrender to France. Now, the roles were reversed. Hitler sat triumphantly as French officials signed the armistice. For him, it was revenge. For France, it was humiliation on a scale few could imagine. France was carved in two. The north fell under direct German occupation. The south became Vichy France, led by Marshal Philippe Pétain, a hero of World War I, now choosing collaboration. But not all French leaders surrendered. From London, Charles de Gaulle declared, "France has lost a battle, but France has not lost the war." His call to resist marked the birth of free France. Still, the immediate reality was grim. With France defeated, Hitler controlled nearly all of Western Europe. Only Britain remained. The fall of France shocked the world. A great power undone in just 6 weeks. But Hitler's triumph was not complete. Across the Channel, Britain stood defiant. Next time, the Battle of Britain. In 1940, Hitler unleashed the Luftwaffe against Britain. The skies filled with bombers and fighters as the Royal Air Force fought for survival. Winston Churchill called it the nation's finest hour, and the world remembers it as the Battle of Britain. By June 1940, Western Europe had fallen. France surrendered. The Low Countries were occupied. Hitler's armies stood just across the Channel. Only Britain remained. For the first time in centuries, the island faced the threat of invasion. Hitler's plan, Operation Sea Lion, required one thing above all: control of the skies. If the Luftwaffe destroyed the RAF, German troops would cross the Channel. Britain's fate would be decided in the air. The battle began in July. The Luftwaffe attacked shipping in the English Channel, trying to choke off supplies and draw the RAF into combat. Convoys burned, but British pilots struck back. Hurricanes and Spitfires shot down dozens of German bombers. The message was clear. The RAF would fight for every inch of sky. On August 13th, the Luftwaffe launched Adler Tag, Eagle Day. Hundreds of bombers and fighters poured across the Channel. Airfields and aircraft factories came under relentless attack. But Britain had a secret weapon: radar. For the first time in history, an early warning system tracked enemy formations. Controllers in underground bunkers guided squadrons to intercept incoming raids. The skies turned into a deadly chess match. Outnumbered, the RAF fought with skill and determination. Germany expected a quick victory. Instead, it led planes and veteran air crews it could not replace. By September, frustration set in. Hitler changed tactics. Instead of crushing the RAF, the Luftwaffe turned its fury on London and other cities. This was the Blitz. On September 7th, 1940, bombs rained down on the East End. Fires lit the night sky. Families huddled in the underground as entire neighborhoods were destroyed. Buckingham Palace was hit. The House of Commons was damaged. Yet the people endured. Fire brigades fought through the nights. Londoners emerged each morning defiant. The shift in strategy gave the RAF time to repair airfields, regroup, and strike back. The battle pushed Britain's pilots to the edge. Young men, many barely out of school, flew 3, 4, even 5 missions a day. They lived with exhaustion, constant danger, and the loss of friends. Churchill would later honor them with his famous words: "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few." These few kept Britain alive. Through September and October, the battle reached its climax. The Luftwaffe sent massive raids, but the RAF held on. By the end of October, Germany had lost nearly 2,000 100,000 aircraft. The invasion was postponed. The Battle of Britain was Hitler's first defeat. Britain had endured. The cost was high. Tens of thousands of civilians died in the Blitz. Cities lay in ruins. But Britain had endured alone. And the free world took notice. The Battle of Britain proved Hitler could be stopped. Next time, Hitler turns east, unleashing Operation Barbarossa. In September 1940, London was engulfed in flames. For 8 months, night after night, German bombers rained destruction on Great Britain. Entire neighborhoods were leveled. Families hid in the underground. This was the Blitz. A campaign meant to break Britain's spirit. But instead, as the war launched, people of Britain refused to back Hitler's terror. This is Colorized. After failing to destroy the Royal Air Force in the Battle of Britain, Hitler shifted his strategy. Britain's navy ruled the sea. The RAF still ruled the skies. So instead of invading, Hitler turned to terror from above. The Blitz. On September 7th, 1940, the Luftwaffe began targeting Britain's cities. Nearly 1,000 bombers and escorting fighters swept across the Channel toward London. Their orders were simple: destroy factories, ports, and railways, and break civilian morale. The East End of London burned first. Docks, warehouses, and homes were reduced to rubble. Black smoke filled the sky, visible for miles. The bombing was so intense that the fires merged into a single inferno, known as a firestorm. For the people of London, the war had come home. For 57 consecutive nights, London was bombed. The raids came with deadly precision, usually around 8 p.m., just after dark. The city's air raid sirens became a nightly ritual of fear. Families rushed to shelters, basements, and subway tunnels. Mothers carried infants wrapped in blankets. Fathers stayed above to help as air raid wardens and fire watchers. Fires tore through warehouses along the Thames. Entire streets vanished overnight. St. Paul's Cathedral stood defiantly amid the smoke, a symbol of British survival. Churchill visited bombed neighborhoods, walking among the wreckage. He told people, "We can take it." And they did. But the Blitz was not just London's nightmare. Coventry suffered one of the most devastating raids. On the night of November 14th, 1940, more than 500 German bombers attacked the city. High explosives shattered buildings, and incendiaries ignited everything in sight. The medieval cathedral was destroyed, the shell left standing as a memorial to this day. Liverpool endured almost as many raids as London. Its docks made it a prime target. In the north, Manchester, Sheffield, and Glasgow were hit repeatedly. Even smaller towns and ports, Plymouth, Portsmouth, Bristol, were not spared. The Luftwaffe's goal was to cripple Britain's war production. Instead, it unified the nation. Every city under attack knew the others were enduring the same terror. The Blitz revealed the terrifying efficiency of modern warfare. German aircraft carried a deadly mix of explosives, including incendiaries, small magnesium bombs that set the ruins ablaze. The strategy was simple: destroy, then ignite. Britain's defenses fought back as best they could. Radar stations tracked incoming raids. Anti-aircraft guns roared through the night. Searchlights pierced the darkness as Spitfires and Hurricanes hunted bombers in the glow of burning cities. But the sheer scale of the attacks overwhelmed the defenses. Entire districts were flattened in hours. By May 1941, more than 40,000 civilians had been killed, and millions left homeless. city, a new kind of life took shape. Each night, thousands descended into the underground. Families claimed the same spots each evening, spreading blankets and makeshift bedding along the platforms. The smell of dust and smoke, mixed with the sounds of children and the rumble of distant bombs. Despite the danger, there was humor, music, and even hope. Some stations held impromptu concerts or sing-alongs. Teachers organized lessons for children in the tunnels. The government at first resisted using the underground as shelters, fearing panic. But the people made their own choice. The London Underground became a symbol of endurance and unity. When dawn came, they climbed back into the ruins and rebuilt. Both sides understood the power of images. German propaganda boasted that Britain was on the brink of collapse. Radio Berlin broadcast nightly, claiming the RAF was finished and London was in flames. But British morale only hardened. The Ministry of Information launched its own campaign. Posters declaring, "Keep calm and carry on," though rarely seen at the time, became the spirit of the era. Newsreels showed firefighters, rescue workers, and smiling civilians amid the rubble. American journalists like Edward R. Murrow reported live from London rooftops, broadcasting the sounds of bombs falling to listeners across the Atlantic. These reports helped sway public opinion in the United States. The world saw that Britain stood alone and refused to yield. By May 1941, the bombing slowed. Hitler had a new target: the Soviet Union. Luftwaffe units were redeployed east for Operation Barbarossa. The Blitz had failed to break Britain. The RAF survived. The people endured. But the cost was immense. Over 40,000 dead. And more than 1 million homes destroyed. Still, out of the ashes came a profound sense of identity. The Blitz became part of British memory, a storage of courage, sacrifice, and defiance in the face of annihilation. The Blitz was one of the darkest chapters of the war, but it was also one of the most defining. London, Coventry, and countless other cities bore scars that would last for generations. But when Churchill spoke to Parliament, he captured the spirit that carried the nation through. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall never surrender. The Brits proved that bombs could destroy buildings, but not resolve. Next time on Color the Past, blah 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 blah.